Hey, what's going on, friends? Welcome back to the channel Football Therapy with me, your host, Jam. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, and happy Easter to those who celebrate it and like to eat little chocolate bunnies. Right, even the Chelsea ownership admit their tenure in charge of Chelsea Football Club has been an effing mess. We will react to an article by Rob Draper from The Mail, and I'll give you my thoughts on the ownership there. Well, a little bit on Marina Granovskaya's payoff. We won't really talk about Frank Lampard because it just is what it is now. And Fabrizio Romano update on Luis Enrique reportedly desperate for the Chelsea job, which is interesting. Good manager. Let me know what you think as and when I go along the stories. Make sure you're commenting, and thank you for liking the video and subscribing to this channel. And should you choose to do so, one recommends that you hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. Right. Firstly, there's a story going around about Chelsea's finances. Spoiler, they're not good. Chelsea have spent burpees, lost money, and yeah, I'm not going to go on about that today. We've spoken about it, reflected on financial reports. I did want to pick up quickly on Marina Granovskaya's £35 million payoff for services in the club's transition in its sale. Now, because this is on the accounts, bro. This isn't just like, you know, Egbali, who is the big dog. Eventually, over time, people, I think, will stop saying Todd Boehly and they'll start saying Badad Egbali a bit more. I know they probably don't want that, but I think that might happen over time. Anyway, it's not like he just went, yeah, have a few quid out my pocket. Don't tell anyone. It was like, no, 35 million big ones for helping the transition of the sale. Bro, I could have been like, welcome to Cobham. Here's the toilet. This man's called James. He'll serve you food. And it's got a lovely view if you look out that window. Granted, she's probably being a little bit more canny than that, ins and outs. She was very well connected and respected, but at the same time, she was Roman's, like, lieutenant, like the first behind him. So, like, I don't know, man. And, like, yeah, it was posed the question that, you know, would any of the other bidders offer? Bruce Buck got a lot of money as well. I don't know, man. We can talk about how they sort of stinks, conspiracy, waste of money. But my position hasn't changed on the ownership in terms of candidates and who they are. We will talk about that a little bit more next before we talk about Luis Enrique. Right, so Rob Draper wrote a special report on the Mail Online. It's very interesting, hopefully, to have a read. So a little bit to get through. It's obviously not behind the paywall, so I'm happy to go through it for you guys in its entirety. And we can see what it says. For those concerned about the sanity of Todd Boehly and Badad Egbali, rest assured, there is some humility 10 months into the ownership of Chelsea in the week that saw Graham Potter sacked and Frank Lampard reinstalled. Quote, it's a fudging, whatever replacement of the F word you would like to use. There it is. It's an effing mess. Of course it is. End quote. That is said by someone close to the executives this week. He went on to say, no one is pretending this was the plan. So, they're not doing the dog in the burning house meme saying this is fine. It's like that meme, but they're saying it's an effing mess. Makes you feel a bit better, right? The leadership at Chelsea are not so insulated from reality that their respective Santa Monica and Connecticut billionaire layers, that they were unaware of their perception of them in the European game. That of big talking Americans strolling into town and flashing their cash. So they're basically saying they know they look like, yeah. The old Bundesliga acronym for dealing with the Premier League, SEM, brackets, stupid English money, may have been replaced by SEM, stupid Chelsea money. Yet the ownership are unperturbed, notwithstanding that they recognize this short-term crisis and wish things could have turned out differently. And what do you mean by that? Not out of the cup in the first round and both? What do you mean by that? Languishing is the word. Languishing in the bottom half of the table in bloody April. Their judgment is a stake, given that they decided, with the wealth of their data at their disposal, that Potter was the coming man. Whoa! Don't take that out of context in coaching terms. In coaching terms, he's the coming man. In coaching terms, wowee, a generational talent. And by the way, sex jokes aside, that is true. You know, Graham Potter was looked at as like the guy, you know, the trend, the data trend, and he's a nice boy. They were like, wow, his data's good and they're scoring goals, but his nice boy value is off the chart. He's just a great chap. You know, so he was generational talent. That he now appears to not to leave them back at the beginning, as they consider the merits of Julian Nagelsmann, who we can talk about, and Luis Enrique. Of course, also pause on Julian Nagelsmann, who was seen as the favourite for the long-term successor of Graham Potter. Chelsea have reportedly rejected a bid for Anthony Barry to go coach with Bayern Munich. And it's said that Bayern will not forget this when negotiating for Julian Nagelsmann, who of course is still on their books. It's just, you know, an important side piece of information for you there. They will be aided by a plethora of technical and sporting directors in Christopher Vivell, Paul Winstanley, and Lawrence Stewart. Chelsea should coin a collective noun for directors of football. Yeah, a gaggle of directors. Yeah, because if they get it wrong next time with their thought power combined, you know, then we're in trouble. We're in real big trouble. The attempt to reinvent the wheel has needed some adjustments. Amen. Bowley and Igbali came into their new sporting franchise convinced that it was better to get a coach on the way up than a more experienced hand who has been spat out by rivals. Now they acknowledge it may be better to take a coach who has been there and done that, even if it means the shortlist might not look any different to Tottenham's. Yeah, they want to be different. They want to be the long-term thinkers, the innovators, but it's all very well coming in starry-eyed and not being able to do it. Nagelsmann will appeal because he has big club and Champions League experience, as well as looking like the best 30s-something coach in European football. What's that geezer who's the French club? They had that massive winning streak and he's really young and he doesn't have his coaching badges. Big story, I should really know about it in European football. So despite his patchy form at Bayern Munich this season... So yeah, they're saying it despite that. Basically, he's like a high-profile coach. People want Julian Nagelsmann, even if he dresses a bit like a goober sometimes. I know, rich coming from me. Enrique has been around a bit more, overseeing a treble of Liga del Rey and Champions League at Barca, and either overachieved massively or failed dismally with Spain. Interesting, depending on your take. Either of these still look smart choice for the summer. Yeah, maybe it was a bit more of an impossible job at Spain, but they just have like a striker. Anyway, nevertheless, Lampard is admired, and not just because he's revered status as a club. It felt like he was harshly sacked before. I mean, maybe Todd Bowley would feel like he's harshly sacked before. To be honest, Thomas Tuchel thought Frank Lampard was harshly sacked. He said not only, you know, did he do well the first year, but, you know, he looked at the data and it suggested they were playing well and just a bit unlucky. So that's, I mean, you know, Tuchel was like an intelligent man. That's a nice thing to say. But probably on reflection, Bowley and Igbali looked at that and thought, ruthless. Like, mate, you should see how we sacked Ancelotti. Harshly sacked before, though it would take a Roberto Di Matteo-like charge to the Champions League win to get him a chance to oversee next season. That is not happening. Up against Carlo Ancelotti and Real Madrid, buoyed by their 4-0 Copa del Rey semi-final win against Barcelona, seems unlikely. But they lost last night, didn't they, to the team with Chukwuemezi, whatever his name is, the wicked winger. Villarreal, not Villarreal. they lost last night anyway, 3-2 at home in the Bernabeu. There'll also be fringe benefits with Lampard. Chelsea want Mason Mount, their academy poster boy, to agree terms. Yeah. Mason Mount likes Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard likes Mason Mount. Yeah. Look, this goes on, actually. I'm not going to read all this. Look, basically, owners know they've done a bad. They've spent loads of money. They really thought they had it with Graham Potter, and now they're changing their minds and their approach to owning Chelsea. We have good players. The assets are there. Can we make them kick the round ball into the netted goal? Because I'm watching all kinds of teams score goals at the moment, man, and it ain't my one. And my one costs a lot of money. I might take mine back to the shop, mate. Yeah, before we talk about Luis Enrique, I do want to say that, like, football's tricky, dude, and it's hard. And I get these guys are inexperienced and naive. They just are. But at the same time, I like them as owners. You know, the one thing that everyone, all these, like, you know, kids want with their football team, they're like, we want just money. As long as they spend money, it's fine. We've broken the record for spending money. We've got no issue for spending money. So you go, right, what else are they doing? What do they want? Well, they want to use the foundation of a data-led structure, so it's not also volatile, so you can have long-term success and win more. Perfect. So they had a crack at Potter and it failed. But the incentive is there, whether it's literal spending money or if it's ideas for long-term domination to win, which they believe there'll be earlier, sacrifices, which, hot dog, we are feeling sacrifice in terms of how the league is panning out. Is there any danger of truly putting us in trouble? I'm not so sure. We'll always generate revenue, Chelsea, so there's a sort of safety to that. And provided they just get the stadium over the line and stuff, it should be fine. But yeah, it is tough at the moment. They can't afford to be terrible every season. Let me get that right. So the next appointment of the next manager is important. So let's talk about Luis Enrique. I'm going to use a website called the Chelsea Chronicle, which I believe it's like a Chelsea news site aggregation kind of ting. But it references Luis Enrique and what Fabrizio Romano has been saying about him. It doesn't actually say the author on this, I don't think, but the publisher or the writer or the journalist. Anyway, Luis Enrique is keen. He is keen to be appointed as Chelsea's next permanent manager amid news from Fabrizio Romano that the two parties are still in contact over a potential agreement. By the way, pause. I think, as things stand, both managers in Luis Enrique and Julian Nagelsmann would prefer the Chelsea move over Tottenham. Even though Tottenham's got excellent training facilities, an excellent stadium, I feel like they look at the ownership and the splashing the money and this desire to win, and they'll look at the squads and they'll want to work with Chelsea. Personal opinion. Speaking on the Here We Go podcast, the Italian transfer guru revealed that the former Spain and Barcelona manager is one of the two early favourites to take over at Chelsea this summer, with, of course, Julian Nagelsmann being the other contender, which we could have trouble up against negotiating with Bayern after the Anthony Barry stuff. So Romano said this, quote, "Who is going to be the next Chelsea coach? Well, that is a crucial question. As I mentioned before, they are speaking to Julian Nagelsmann and they are speaking to Luis Enrique. Nagelsmann remains the favourite for the future, but Enrique is still there and he wants the job. The dude is here for the job. Enrique has been out of a job since late 2022 after being dismissed as the Spain coach. Of course, the Qatar World Cup didn't do very well. He had been looking for a job before. Indeed, with the end of the season just over a month away, having a manager appointed in the coming weeks could be massive for Chelsea. And if Nagelsmann is unwilling to take the job, Enrique would be the perfect second choice option for the West London side. Many people prefer Luis Enrique, probably because he just represents a bit more seniority and he's won the treble. I mean, you can't really dance around that too much. he's won the treble. So Chelsea appointing Enrique could be a great long-term decision. Chelsea and long-term managers are two phrases that we haven't stuck together in the 21st century. Yet Enrique could be the man to change that, given how keen Todd Bowley is for having a coach who leads for multiple seasons. Luis Enrique wants a project. He wants to stay somewhere. He wants to stay coach and obviously he was seen as a superstar coach with the treble, but he wants to build again. He's early 50s and 51, he's at 52 maybe. So he's got his 50s, which can be the sweet spot for coaches to navigate and really demonstrate his managerial ability. He wants the Chelsea job, man. He's learning English as well, so it's there for him. It's there for him if he wants it. But it's up to Todd Bowley, Igbali, and everyone, and the whole gaggle of sporting directors to select him over Julian Nagelsmann. Now, they like the idea of a young, up-and-coming coach, Julian Nagelsmann. Of course, Nagelsmann speaks English fluently and, expressively, which would be massive for them. But we'll just have to see. Let me know what you think, boys and girls. I hope you having a restful weekend, and next week you smash it. I think that's a motivational YouTuber. Smash it, man. So annoying. Right. Take care of yourselves. Love you lots. Peace.